I again didn't get the chance in order to introduce you to the LibreFest. Justin took that slot. I had the rock and he had the paper, so he won. So I'm happy in order to close things out here with some topical discussions of things. And again, this is quite topical, so we're not going to go into a lot of details associated uh, with the slides. But I do want to ask a few questions off of here. And let's say we start with this one. Should students be a market to exploit? Uh, I can only see Joy saying no, and I presume that many of you have opinions regarding this. And is it fair in order to say that most, if not all of you, believe that that's a true statement? Which is probably what I would expect from this audience, but that's not universally believed. There are many communities out there that view students as a market, and I don't have a fundamental issue with providing resources that are commercialized to students. My problem is doing so in an exploitative manner. And an example of that is, for example, my instrumental analysis book a decade and a half ago was $250 to $300, uh, which was just outrageous, in part because there was only one book on the market that basically fits that niche. There was no competition. It's exploitative, and following the quote unquote laws of economics or capitalism, you expect it to increase to as much as possible because there's an interest in order to increase shareholders. Now, I'm not trying to go into a stance on the virtues of socialism and other aspects of that, but I just want to say, as a faculty member that's uh, directly connected to actually assigning resources for the students in the classroom, I believe I should take a stance. I believe we should all take a stance, at least in public education, to not let market exploit our students. Um, but we can be more expansive. We can ask the question not just at students, but should campuses be a market to exploit? You know, and I think that's true. That they shouldn't be a market to exploit. That is, uh, most of our campuses are public, at least those that are here, and as public institutions, we should not be concerned about trying to make a profit or concerned about having external third parties coming in order to be able to make a profit off of our activities. This right here is the guiding principle behind what we do, why we do what we do, and what we want to actually change in the world. Yes, there are lots of details and issues about whether it's textbooks and homework and ancillary materials. Those are details necessary, but this is the big picture, and it's important to remember what the big picture is when we get stuck with the smaller picture off here. So, as Jennifer nicely presented before, we have a scope in terms of what we're trying to uh, how we're trying to address the goals that we have out there. The LibreText infrastructure has four primary thrusts: content construction and dissemination, content development and dissemination, development in partnership with various community stakeholders in order to be able to advance projects typically around open. All these are around open, and then training and professional development that's moving on here. We have a mission statement out there. I'm not going to read over it, but it largely cements out the aspect of how we want to be able to pursue this activity, and we take it very seriously. Just as a reminder, and this is important to many of our colleagues that have not uh, bitten into the OER apple and are subsequently poisoned by all the things that makes us happy, or at least makes me happy in terms of pursuing forward, is that by removing the financial barrier to the resources, we provide a mechanism in order to help rebalance equity. Now, right now, the word equity is a hot topic, especially in Washington, D.C., but nonetheless, it's something that should be pursuing across the board. By removing the barriers, we allow students to have the opportunity in order to use the limited financial resources that they have, and I would argue dwindling right now for handling things that are of particular greater importance for them, like uh, food, housing, transportation, and many other aspects, instead of being money into the pockets of commercial companies that are exploiting our students. Now, I'm not about to introduce, teachers of the world unite mantra here, but it's the underlying theme that is what we do, what the open community does, and we should be embracing them. Okay, so let me give a quick little overview of some of the things that we discussed here, so that you can recognize it. The Liber text manifestation, from a technology perspective, can be found on the Launchpad. You can access the Launchpad at launchpad.libretext.org, or you can go to any time you see a rocket ship, and it shows you all the different aspects behind here. You, if you attended all the lectures that we had here, they're not lectures, all the presentations that we had here, you were exposed to about 20 or so presentations throughout all 5 days. And they addressed a handful of things. I just want to remind you of what you've been exposed to here, because it's actually multifaceted. And as I mentioned earlier on, today, our greatest weakness is our greatest strength. And it's essentially that our scope is multifaceted in order to handle a wide range of different things that are necessary in order to supplant the commercial interest, the exploitive interest in the classroom. And that results in a lot of stuff in order to be able to see. That can be very daunting. And just like what you would tell your students when they get daunted when you teach a new topic, just focus on the small things that are important and then move on from there. Don't try to get overwhelmed by all the things that are that you have access to, because invariably you're not going to be using all the things that the LibreVerse provides. Even I don't use all the things that the LibreVerse provides. So we started the discussion of the LibreVerse with the Adapt homework system, which is a system that you can use to take the place of commercial products. It's also a question bank that you have access to as a verified instructor. So any verified instructor can take and use it. They don't need to use it as a homework platform. We transitioned into a conversation around the Forge, a new technology to facilitate assignmentizing long form projects, essays, writing, and other projects that fits into there. That includes other technologies like spreadsheets, presentation approaches, and we hope to be able to extend that to other technologies there. We transitioned into discussing Jupyter as a platform in order to facilitate coding. That coding can be part of computer science courses, it can be part of data science courses, and it's a powerful mechanism in order to advance what I refer to as the textbook of the future. Then we transitioned into the Commons and Conductor, and specifically on ancillary technology that are hosted within the Commons and Conductor. By now, you've had some familiarity with the Conductor as a project management tool, and you can recognize that there's a wide range of different facets that's connected to it that can be very beneficial in moving your projects forward, although you don't necessarily have to use the Conductor in order to be able to do what you want to do if you feel like that's important to you. We then started to transition into OER textbooks, what we're well known for, and the process of editing textbooks, and the process of remixing or capitalizing the fact that we have this largest corpus of OER textbook material that you can then mix and match. So essentially think of it as going into a candy store and you have an infinite amount of candy in order to be able to pick and choose. I should say infinite large amount, and growing steadily so that you can then create your own customized book as you desire. We closed out this discussion today on the Academy, or professional development and training infrastructure, in order to be able to guide people in terms of being able to use all the tools that you have available for that. We did some secondary discussions regarding accessibility. They should be integrated at multiple levels, including the new Department of Justice rules that are coming down the pike, and some of the tools that you have access for real-time and post-real-time editing of that. Transitioned into making books interactive, so they're not just text and image based, more conventional books, but start to capitalize on the fact that we have technology enabling our books, and from that we can actually make more engaged books, and more engaged books means almost always greater learning, and that is ultimately our mission. Lastly, we ended the conversation on data analytics. You get a large number of students using the resources online. You're capable in order to capitalize on the data that you've gotten in order to be able to identify efficacy of what you're doing, efficacy of your pedagogy, efficacy of your resource, and a wide range of other metrics that you can get from the data that you have available. Um, with that as a summary, I just have a couple reminders for you, and I'm going to be quoting people here because I don't have original words off in this topic. One is "No man is an island." I should say "No person is an island," but this is a 500-year-old quote, and basically arguing that we don't have to do these things individually. We can work as a team in order to help things forward, moving forward, and we're very excited in order to facilitate that. And we had a beautiful discussion this morning on being able to move forward off of that. It takes a village. There's more to that quote, but nonetheless, the argument is collectively we can actually move together in order to be able to help fill in all the gaps that we need to fill in with OER to get the goals that we have are out there, just like what Heather was commenting on in Coalinga, being able to get to 100% is the goal that we have. And lastly, sharing is caring. You have something that you want to share to the community, that you want to openly license off of there. The LibreText infrastructure is the ideal platform for you to be able to do that and get it out there. And that applies not just to you, to any of your colleagues that has content that is just sitting there and waiting to be distributed. If you have a faculty member, colleague that is retiring, don't let that stuff just go out the door, because there's a lot of really beautiful stuff that's been created in the lifetime of many faculty, and it'd be a waste not to be able to make that into a legacy in order to be able to get it out there. And this is one of the starting premises of how LibreText, then the ChemWiki, started, which was to accumulate these resources that were largely missed out in various parts of the internet or off the internet, such that we can capitalize and move things forward. So again, the future is open. I'm very excited that you made it throughout all 5 days, or at least to the last day of the workshop. If you have any questions or concerns, please let us know. We're easy to contact and we're easy to help. And if you have any suggestions on how to improve either LibreFest, our technology, or any other facet of what we presented, we're also very open. Thank you again.